Raising women's voices, one story at a time. Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. Welcome, friends, to another amazing, hilarious, ridiculous episode of the She Said Project podcast. I am your host, Jeanette Jerzak, National Director of All Things She Said.
And I'm Carrie Rosso, your I almost said co-ho. I'm your co-ho today. I got you, sis.
It's been a long time since we've been in the studio. It feels pretty good. I did open up like that on purpose because today we're talking about some things that are ridiculous, because life can be ridiculous, Carrie. It is not always so pretty.
I don't know why you just looked at me when you said that, but true. And that's what I love about the person in the story that we're about to hear, because life is never just one thing. It's hilarious, it's heartbreaking, and just soak up all the things and just know that when you're in one, the other one is sure to follow.
And it is always She Said gold, as we like to call it, when a speaker is willing to talk about the things that are a little more awkward, right? We all have them. There is not a person out there that is innocent. We all have embarrassing, awkward moments. Again, looking at you.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's true. And often we talk about we want the show to be the party after the party, but there's the party after the party after the party. I mean, before we go on, often when we're downstairs getting ready, often that's when the craziest or raunchiest or most hilarious or embarrassing that even I have told down there that no way would I tell on stage.
But our guest today, she went there.
Told it.
She went there. She was willing. And that is always a dream when we have a speaker who's willing to share those awkward moments. And so let's talk about those awkward moments with our very special guest, SoeYun Song from our Champaign-Urbana 2024 That's What She Said cast. Welcome to the podcast studio.
Hello.
Always lovely to see you.
So good to see you guys. I was so happy to get here in person because I wanted to see your faces when I was talking to you. I'm so happy to be here.
We're talking, of course, about the story that SoeYun shared on stage in front of, 900 of her closest friends. Very good friends. I'm sure they've all reached out to you to express their
100%
their sympathy.
Well,
so much
now
support, just moral support has been out the roof. Not just random people going,
Yeah.
I've never laughed so hard.
I about fell out of my
at
chair.
Someone being so ridiculous.
Amy Armstrong, a friend, was sitting next to me, and she kept saying, I hate you. Why did you not prep me for this? Because it came out of nowhere, and it wasn't just a bump. It was like just when you would recover from one laugh, you would get hit with another.
Every time. So you, me, the rest of the cast, we had the great fortune of hearing your story several times during the rehearsal process.
Over and over.
Never got old. The laughter was real and organic every single time. So let's not keep our listeners in such suspense. So, Ian, just give us a quick summary of the story that you did share and maybe a little bit about why, and then we'll play the clip from the show.
What could I possibly say that would really kind of just encapsulate me as a person, And so I figured, what could I talk about other than being like encapsulated in a tube flying in the air, thousands and thousands of feet, and having no way out and trying to figure out what to do in a really intense situation. But it's also one of the things that I will literally think about as I'm falling asleep, and I'll start laughing, and that's the end of sleep for the night. Because it's just one of those crazy things that you have that happen to you that you're just like, okay, yes, 10 years later, I can still wake myself up cracking up about this whole situation.
It was like this perfect storm. It wasn't one thing. It was all these little things that led up to a ridiculous time that you had on a very long trip on an airplane.
Very, very long
so
trip
let's
home.
just
Yeah.
very long trip home. So let's play the clip because we need everyone to know what this is we're talking about here. Please, listeners, enjoy. It's going to be hard without seeing her face, but you're going to enjoy the story nonetheless. So close your eyes. This is our gift to you. SoeYun Song. That's What She Said. Champaign-Urbana 2024 with her story, The Long Trip Home. Enjoy.
In 2011, my sister and I took my dad on a trip. I was returning to Korea for the first time since we had moved to the States when I was just a baby. It was such a great experience, even the flight was amazing. We were waiting to board, and suddenly the cabin crew walked through the crowd, and they were this group of super tall Asians that were all otherworldly beautiful. We found out that Asiana Airlines hires models to be their flight attendants. It was the biggest plane we'd ever been on, and it was the perfect start to a journey full of so much fun. We asked our dad to show us the Korea that he thought of when he pictured being home. And I think this is really what made the trip so special and unique. Instead of spending every day on a guided tour, he took us to see where he had actually lived. Hidden away restaurants and shops with my Korean family, the roads where he and his friends played, with him pointing out different areas that used to have huge craters from the bombs dropped during the war. Brand new skyscrapers that were sidled up next to ancient temples. There's even a tiny, ancient-looking woman that saw him on the street who recognized him from when he was a boy. And she reached up and smiled, and she just touched his cheek with such sweet affection. It was truly the trip of a lifetime. Our last day in Korea, my sweet cousin asked if my sister and I would go eat a real American meal with her. Of course, we said yes, and endured her version of an American meal that consisted of pizza with extra cheese, creamy fettuccine Alfredo, and it was all topped off with the biggest ice cream sundae we'd ever seen. After the meal, we took the subway. We went to the airport, where our extended family were already waiting, and we all said our goodbyes. My sister and I went to the crowded airport bathroom before boarding the plane, and I decided to change into some comfy clothes. I come out of the stall wearing my favorite pajama pants, and my sister asks, "What are you doing?" And I explained that I changed my pants to be comfy. And she said, "Okay, but why did you take off your underwear?" As I was in the middle of putting my undies into my backpack, and now we're just standing there arguing about my fashion choices. So if you can try to picture two women having a heated discussion while one is brandishing a pair of crumpled up underwear at the other one, all in a foreign language, that's what all the other women in the bathroom are watching unfold. But finally, I won the discussion, because I'm the older sister, and we happily get on the flight. Now, this entire time, the airport had been a complete madhouse. A tsunami had hit Japan the day before, so it was packed full of people that had flown in to flee the damage with nowhere to really go. And our flight was packed full of people that just hopped onto any flight that would take them out of the area. Somehow this caused our seats to get changed, and the three of us were scattered throughout the cabin, and of course all in middle seats. This wasn't ideal, but I was going to close my eyes and try to take a little nap. About an hour into the 15-hour flight, everyone is asleep and peaceful when I suddenly wake up and realize something is not quite right. I feel like I'm having problems swallowing, but then I quickly realize in a panic that it's not that I can't swallow, but it's because everything in my body is quickly trying to make its way up and out. Now, something you may not know is that a very high percentage of Asians are lactose intolerant. What you also may not know is that most lactose intolerant people are in complete denial that we cannot handle dairy until it becomes a problem. Flashback to my dairy-laden meal, including a huge ice cream sundae, and this is quickly becoming a huge problem. As the realization hits that nothing in my body and none of my lunch is going to stay down, I jump over the sleeping people in my row and start running toward the airplane bathroom, keeping my hands clamped over my mouth, trying to hold back what is happening. So I'm running down the aisle, my hands were pressed tight to my mouth and somehow formed two jets of milky white puke just shooting out onto the peacefully sleeping passengers on either side of me. I lock eyes with a beautiful and horrified flight attendant who immediately starts pounding on the door to get its occupant out when I hear my sister's voice behind me shouting, "Someone pull up my sister's pants!" In my hurry to get to the bathroom, I had totally ignored the slipping of my pants as they were making their way down my legs, unable to pull them up because of my occupied hands, and my mind immediately conjured the image of me shoving my wadded up undies into my backpack. I turned to my right, just intensifying this spray on the people sleeping there, and I see my sister standing in her own seat just pointing helplessly at her puking, pantless sister. I make it to the airplane bathroom, puking all over myself, the floor, and eventually into a bag, while being stripped out of my ruined clothes by freaking supermodels that were all holding back tears while sloshing around about an inch of puke on the bathroom floor. In between retches, I just kept saying random things like, "Oh no, your makeup's getting all smudged. Please stop. You're too pretty to cry and puke." What's worse is neither I nor the flight attendants decided to wake up the sleeping passengers who were now covered in a mist of white spew. Somehow we all wordlessly agreed to just let them be surprised when they would waken with a suspicious sheen on their faces and clothes. For the next 12 hours, all I wanted to do was be left alone. But whenever there was a moment of reprieve, they kept insisting I come out. And soon another wave would hit, and I'd quickly run into another bathroom. 12 more hours of them following me from bathroom to bathroom to sanitize each one after I was sick in it. They would clean one, make me go to another, and it just turned into a horrible dance of pukey musical chairs. After convincing them to not have an emergency landing in Alaska, I finally made my way back to my seat for landing. The rest is just a blur of my dad half carrying me through customs, my sister holding my luggage, while I just held a bag of my ruined clothes. Okay, so when I look back on this trip, I don't just remember the terrible plane ride. I don't have to let that one part of the trip ruin my entire memory. Instead, I choose to remember it all. I had a beautiful trip. Wonderful memories were made with my family, and I spent cherished time with my dad and sister. And then there was also the plane ride home. I remember the good and the not so good. And for me, this is exactly the way I want to always view my life. When something so ridiculous or awful happens, I try to find the humor in it. If I give myself a moment to stop and notice, I can usually find a way to laugh at the absurdity of it all. I don't allow that one thing to ruin my entire memory or experience. I've been a hospice nurse for most of my nursing career. And one of the most meaningful times I have with my patients and their families is when we complete a life review. It's nothing as formal as setting up a meeting and getting a box of tissues ready, but it's really a natural flow of conversation that starts with why they are even meeting with someone from hospice. This usually starts with their illness and the prognosis they have, and then we transition to what they are feeling, whether it's anger or sadness or fear. And we keep going. We keep digging even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's awkward. We strip away the emotions that are on the surface to get down to what is really at the root of everything. Together, we always start to find the layers of sadness or anger are usually just covering up profound love and joy in life, and the love and joy for life. The idea of losing it all or not knowing what comes next or how we will continue to be able to experience the love for and from the people that mean so much to us, it's overwhelming and it's a tragedy. But every time I'm privileged enough to have this conversation, I'm pointed back to the idea that life can be so sad because life is also so beautiful. The emotions that I think are in opposition are really all wrapped up around each other, giving us our actual human experience. Finding the humor in the absurd is honestly a pretty difficult exercise, not only in my line of work, but in all of life. I keep practicing because I really do hope that by doing this one small thing, it can turn into a really big thing. And that'll keep pointing me back to finding some good in the bad, joy in sadness, and the enormous love that always exists in grief. If any of you feel that this is already sounding difficult, know that it's not something to perfect. I don't know if I'll ever really get good at it, but what I hope is that when your day is not going great, when everything around you is definitely less than funny, that I can leave you with a gift. It's a tried and true way to get yourself unstuck from a moment in which all you can see is heartache or frustration. Are you ready? Are you guys ready too? Okay, everybody's ready. So take a deep breath. Put your hand right over your heart. You feel that beautiful thing beating in there. Okay, here's the gift. Take another breath. And just picture me running down an airplane aisle, pantless and puking. You're welcome.
The greatest thing is long before your punchlines were coming, I was already chuckling.
I
And
know.
In the video, at one point, I didn't realize you could see me.
Oh, I'm looking at you the whole time because I'm going, she's going to fall down.
And at one point, I was like already doing like the crazy shoulder shake and trying not to give it away to the people sitting next to me. Like, is she crying?
I know what's coming.
Is
I know what's coming.
Yeah. And at one point, you like made hard eye contact with me, and I was like, "Holy bleepity bleep! She can see me." And then I was like, "Oh no, I've got to pull myself together." But it was so great, even after hearing it 100 times, knowing what was coming and knowing the laughter that people were about to experience. I couldn't help myself.
You know, I really was like, once I start this off, the first time I'm expecting a laugh, if I don't get it, I'm walking the hell out of here. That is it.
Hard line right
I'm
there.
There's no way I can continue talking about puking all over the place and not a single person laugh. Like if it was just horror in everyone's face, I would have been like, and good night. See you guys later. Nicole, song please.
Cue Nicole.
But you brought such a gift to the show that night. That kind of gut-wrenching laughter in an evening full of stories. We always say they're going to make you ugly cry.
Right,
They're
and
going to make
belly
you belly laugh. Like you definitely fill the belly laugh category. It's so necessary because when you're in some deep emotions, from all these different stories, it's just this huge relief, this huge release that our audience gets to have as we all laugh together. And for that, I want to say thank you. And I mean, that's very vulnerable and courageous. Like you said, you had no idea how people were going to react. You remember it with laughter. But what inspired you to say, okay, I'm going to share this day?
Well, it's kind of like the whole thing that you just said, right? It's got to be a mix of these different things. I have been a hospice nurse for such a long time. Before that, I was in oncology, and I have stories that can out-sad most people. These stories are so sad, but we have to always be able to balance that with these really, really funny moments because we're living all of it, And so I think that that's kind of the most important part is like making sure that whatever story I was telling, my favorite go-to thing is to laugh, and to make people laugh. That would be my most favorite thing ever to do. So if I can really mix that with the idea and frankly, just the truth that life is also very, very difficult and very, very sad at times. What else can we do but honor all of it at the same time? And so getting, I think, someone ready to experience that range is something that's really cool. And coming to them, if they're in a happy time, you get to experience that range when you choose to sit with someone in their bad times, Or if I'm coming into someone's really, really bad time, which is where I meet a lot of new people, but I can sit with them through that and then also bring in something that reminds them that, oh, there's also other emotions, experiences, things that are happening. This world is still moving at like 1,000,000 miles an hour around this galaxy, and we're just still trying to deal with all of it while we're also dealing with whatever situation we feel like we're stuck in. That I think that that's really giving people more room to feel everything, experience everything, and then to move forward with the stuff that they're going through.
I would like to start a new radio talk show and hire SoeYun. I could sit here and listen to her just reflect on all the things for hours. You have such beautiful insight, and I absolutely noticed that during the entire process. You showed up for your other She Said sisters and offered them these beautiful insights from your experiences. You poured into them. You're just so emotionally intelligent, and I find it very inspiring.
Inspired.
Me too. I'm inspired by myself.
Well, I mean, it was like you were like our third partner. You know, we were going through the rehearsals, and it forms a very fast sisterhood, and everyone building each other up or giving feedback. You don't need that, or you do need this, or more of this, less of that. And you were so insightful. Do you think it's because of the job training that you have, or have you always been that person that just sees things clearly?
Well, I think one of the things is I always feel like if we can zoom out a lot, I like telling funny stories and everything, but I'd rather like be at a bar, you know, doing that. So something like this that was so out of my character, I just do not get up and speak in front of a bunch of people. We were like, these are like these mile markers that we have in our life where I can go, I tried something new, you know, and it was an experience. And you can say about a good experience, a bad experience, whatever, but I kind of put myself out there. I did something new, and I did it for myself. But very, very quickly, you really are going, well, that's the whole point of this whole show, right? Is that we all have these experiences. And if you're going to experience something completely different than me, each one of our experiences are completely valid. And so for us to be able to hear and share those things with each other, the very first thing you do, the second you meet everybody, is you want to encourage them so that they're bringing their best selves and doing it in a way that they're going to be so proud of, because you really realize how quickly this is going to become something that they're going to remember that they did. They showed up and did something really scary. And I think that what else would you want to do for anybody but just keep lifting them up and making sure that they feel so amazing. And I think that just the evolution of people's stories, you saw like every week everyone was so much more confident. Some of these stories changed drastically from the first time I met people to when we were getting up there. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like you could just see the growth in them understanding more and more about their own story too. You know, I know how I feel about it, but then once you start talking about it, you really have to start thinking, but why do I feel that way? And what did it really actually teach me? What way has this shaped me that I'm now shaping other people? And I think everyone's story that they give is important enough, you know, that they start thinking about it that way.
That's a wrap. I had nothing to
She's
add to
hired.
that. Hired.
Seriously,
Okay,
the
thanks.
SoeYun
Good, 'cause I've
Song
been
Radio
looking to
Hour.
retire. What I'm doing.
I think it's such a gift that you get to bring all of this insight to the patients that you work with. You shared at the end of your story, yes, this ridiculously awkward plane ride, but we very much worked on making sure that that wasn't the only side to the story.
Right.
You brought in the perspective of what that story taught you as far as life lessons, and that you try to pay that forward when you're working with patients. And when you say that story, you looked for a story that encapsulates you as a person. I think that was part of the beauty as well, because you found the lesson. And I think it's one of your lines. Life is so sad because it's also so beautiful. Life is so beautiful because it's also so sad. It's all the things. It's hard and hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just so grateful we have this platform where women get to explore. And it's not an overnight process. It is a constant evolution and growth.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have people that get upset about people laughing too hard. You know, how irresponsible of that person to think everything is so hilarious. But honestly, what else am I supposed to do? You know,
Right.
If I don't do that, if I can't go there with having fun and finding joy, then how could I ever really allow myself to experience these other depths of emotion too, you know? So it's really all of it, and try to make sure that I leave room for all of it, and that I'm not afraid of any one of those things affecting me enough to where I want to shut any of those other parts down, because I'm missing all of the huge array of great things.
I loved that I didn't see it coming. I first heard your name when I asked some previous speakers, who's the funniest person you know? And your name instantly was out of their mouth. So I was instantly ready for funny. And then when you started to tell your story, because often people who we think are going to be funny really have something else that they want to share, or vice versa. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a lovely generational story. And this was so sweet. And the moment the lady in the street recognizing your dad, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going a different direction, but like so lovely. And so that's what really I thought was so genius in the writing of your story, because you really feel like, oh, you're going down this path. And then wham, someone is shitting themselves. And then it just took a whole turn. And then just as quickly as it turned, it came back to the life lessons and how everything that you've described. And I thought, man, in one piece, we have had such a range of, and that is so exactly what we try to drive home, that's life. It's all of those things, sometimes all in the same day.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to keep her
Yes.
on the team.
I'm going to just
in our pocket.
I'm going to carry her around in like a baby Bjorn.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like, I'm twice your size. I could just carry you around, and then every once in a while, we
Just be kicking little
You'd
feet.
be so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll burp you.
You can feed
Yeah,
me
see?
things.
This is going to be good.
Yeah.
I have a plan.
Just not a lot of like ice cream, of course.
I
No,
will not be nursing you or feeding you ice cream. I do have
Okay,
some
this
boundaries.
just
It took a turn.
I mean, a little bit of
You
ice
wanted
cream,
to go south.
but like
Here
if
you
you're
go.
gonna try to give me a whole like glass of milk, I mean, you'll have no one to blame but
Nope.
yourself.
Nope,
Yeah.
we're not doing it. Okay, how was the feedback from people afterward?
It was really great. I didn't really ask that much about what anyone thought about my talk because I don't care what you think. No.
I did me. I do me.
'Cause I can't change it anyway. So if you hated it, please keep it to yourself. But
Yes.
I thought that I don't know how many people come, but I just have my whole pickleball group was there, so we're all talking, and everyone had different ones that just meant so much to them, and ones that I wouldn't even have known would have made such an impact, And I think that was what was really cool. It was the idea that some of them may have even similar things to say, but they never thought I should say it. And isn't that the whole point? We all have something, and everything that we have is also worthy of putting it out there, just as being who we are. So that part was really, really neat. And I think, people had mixed emotions about things too. Like that story, I don't know. I don't think I would have reacted that way or these things, and it just made people think about. And I'm like, yeah, but just because that wasn't your reaction or whatever, it doesn't make another woman's reaction any less, and we always want everyone to be the same. And I think that is what was so highlighted in the show is that everyone goes through these experiences differently, thinking differently, and they come out with an outcome because, and their very core, they're different than I am, and it just turned it into just such a beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to see. And so many different kind of people were up there,
Yes, and we get to celebrate exactly what you said. That's
Yeah.
actually probably the summary of the work we've been doing for the past 10 plus years.
I'm so glad I was here to
so
help you guys
thank
with that.
you.
You're welcome.
Figured that
Mic
out.
drop, cut, print. I mean, I want to take that quote, put it in a frame. We're good. But you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I just have to share with our listeners because they're not going to get this joy on the podcast. But hopefully if you go see parts of the video, our 2024 show, one of the things that was really magical about that night is for the first time ever, we had an ASL interpreter on the stage interpreting the show in real time because we are making inclusivity and accessibility a priority. And to watch our interpreter express SoeYun's story word for word or thought for thought or puke for puke, it was, everything you did was so hilarious and wrong and right. But watching her also embody your story to express it through ASL was magical.
I will say,
short of
I couldn't
magical.
take my eyes off of you when you were up there. And then when I went back and tried to watch the video, trying to catch glimpses of her, because I had that thought, how this woman,
How
the
did she do
challenge to keep up with that. I don't know how.
I
she
feel
did it.
sorry that's the first show she walked into, having to express the spewing, the white spew everywhere.
She was the
But-
ASL interpreter at my high school.
Really?
Yes, nicest
Wow.
person, always was just so kind, so kind. I was like, okay, super weird because like you obviously don't know who I am, but like I literally watched you for 4 years of my life because there's no way I can't just sit through class. Like, come on, you know that about me already. So I would just watch her and she would just sign and I would just watch her and I was just like, thank goodness there's someone up here that's
I
so
have
nice.
such respect for her. She is a performer.
Oh
but
my
just-
gosh, she's
but-
amazing.
and so passionate about what she does. I loved it. I loved having that element, and it just took everything to a new level.
Yeah, she did a great job.
But you did a great job. So
Thank you.
thank you for saying yes to being part of That's What She Said. We could not be more grateful. You brought it, girl. Like, you brought it.
Well, anyone that's thinking about doing it, I would say just do it. I'm really glad that I just went ahead and did it,
Am I remembering this correctly that you said you had stage fright?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That shocked me.
The whole reason I did it, I didn't know anything really about what was going on here. Like I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll do that. It'll be like public speaking. It'll be, a growing experience for me. And then I'm like, how many people go? And they're like, oh, like
1,000.
1,000 people. And I'm like, well, did I already say yes? Yes, you did. I'm like, okay.
You signed on the
Because I
dotted
said
line,
yes
baby.
before I met anyone or anything like that. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say yes because if not, I'll chicken out. And then I was like, oh boy,
What'd I do?
this has turned into something else.
I'm so glad you did not check it out.
I am
And
too. I'm
so
very
is
glad.
everyone who was in the theater that night, and so is everyone who's listening to this podcast right now. We're so grateful that you're in the sisterhood. We're so grateful you could spend some time with us. I'm so grateful I got to spend
We're
some time
back.
with you, Carrie.
We're back.
We're back for another season. It's so much fun to chat with these ladies after the experience, after the storytelling is done. There's always more to the story.
Oh, 100%. That's what I love about these is like, because people will ask me, okay, either did that really happen or what's happened to them now? Where are they now? And it's so fun to just say, well, I happen to have a baby Bjorn.
That is
That's
where
big enough for
SoeYun
a
ended up.
whole person, whole grown-up person. Just gonna
But
pop
if
her in
you
there.
want to know the story behind the story of someone you saw on stage and that's what she said, you can find them right here chatting with Jeanette and Carrie on the She Said Project podcast.
Over and out.
Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast in partnership with Illinois Public Media. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project and That's What She Said LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com. This podcast was made possible with support from Carl and Health Alliance and presented by Sterling Wealth Management, empowering women to live their best lives.